Hello everybody, Keith here again. This is the only Coelogyne I now have. I've had two others which survived but didn't thrive, so I passed them on to all the members of the East Midlands Orchid Society. But this one, which is Coelogyne fimbriata, is actually doing extremely well. I've no idea why, but in the last 6 or 8 months it's done extremely well, and it's actually flowered for the first time. Now, I bought this 2 years ago, 2018 I think, or around August 2018, at an orchid event at the RHS garden at Harlow Car near Harrogate, and it was part of an offer. You could buy so many small plants at a cheap rate, and they were very cheap. When I got it home, it was in a 3-inch pot. Turned out there were 3 pieces in there. I split one off and tried that in a slightly different way. It didn't work, that died. These two have been in this bowl for 22 months, and it's definitely getting ready for changing, partly because of the age and partly because you can see, I think, if I can get the orientation right, it's not focusing on this terribly well, I'm afraid, but if you look at this one, that's the latest new growth. That is the previous new growth. That was the first one to flower for me, and this one is probably twice the height and half as big again in the diameter. I've got a new growth there, I've got a new growth there, there's a new growth here, there's a new growth here. So there's also a new growth just there. So it's doing its best, it's trying to do something, but it's been there a long time. And it needs moving just to give itself a bit more space. Now, I have seen sort of specimen plants of this being displayed at the Orchid Society. And they're just sort of hanging all out of the pot. But I'd rather think, before we get to that stage, you've got to get the basic plant developed and in bark and doing well. So I'm going to do that, repot this now, just to try and find out what's in the pot, as the saying goes. And the thing is this, again, Coelogynes, they're supposed to like it cool. They're supposed to like it damp. Well, damp is fine. This was a mixture of bark and moss. How much moss is left after 2 years, I've no idea. We'll find out in a minute. But this actually hangs in the roof of the conservatory. It probably sees some of the highest temperatures in here. And yet, it is growing really, really well. So it's obviously happy. It's settled into its environment. So we'll have it out of this thing and we'll see what we've got. Right. So we've got some moss, but not very much. It actually doesn't smell too bad. The roots don't look bad, and it's actually growing on this one in 2 different directions. You've got this one, which is the main one, which is growing very, very well, and then you've got this one on another lead, which is not going quite so well but doing okay. This one, again, you've got growths at that end, you've got growths at this end. So it's definitely doing its thing. We've got a dead pseudobulb just there, but I think overall we're going to get away with this one fairly well. There's not much by way of dead roots. I mean, I suppose logically you could say, well, you could split this and what have you. I just don't think it's worth it. I think we're probably better off just bending it round a little bit and trying to get it so that it can find its way yeah, so it can just, it'll have room to do something. So again, I'm going to use bark and moss, just the same. Now this is quite a different beast. I'm not going to split it. We've got some fine roots. We've also got, out of the newer bulbs, some much bigger roots. So I think we've got the opportunity to do things with it. Now this bit looks as if it sort of died. It's not doing anything very special. But the rest of it is trying to do something all the way along. So the trick is going to be to try and get that into something that will grow and be reasonably easy to set up. As I say, I might try trimming a couple of bulbs off, but I'm not going to do any more than that. I'm not going to split it. I'm just going to try and get it. Now it may well be that by the time I've got one in, I won't have room for the other, and then I'll have to worry about that. But basically this was ready for doing, but not desperately ready for doing. Oh dear, I really didn't want to do that. Really didn't want to do that. Let's take one of the new growths off, never mind. I think the plant is vigorous enough to cope with that. So, I'm just going to go and rinse that. Not going to do any more than that, so I'll be back in a minute. Okay, back again then. I'm going to change things very slightly compared to what they were before. What I did last time was have bark with layers of moss. I'm not sure that's a great idea because these roots are not that deep. So if I want the plant somewhere near the top of that, a lot of this in the bottom is not going to see roots. So my idea is that I want this to drain. So this is just bark. Now the rest of it is something quite close to 50-50 moss and bark. There's quite a lot of moss in this because Coelogynes do like their moisture, and if they're in a pot like this, and the pot, they're not quite at the surface, I suspect, can't prove it, but I suspect that what you're going to see is a microclimate where you've got plants that are going to see humidity coming upwards from the compost, and that will help them a lot. Now, Coelogynes, like a few of these orchids, Coelogynes in particular, they have a long rhizome between the pseudobulb, and the problem with that is they end up very, very straggly, and you end up with bits really all over everywhere. and it's very difficult to stop them coming over the edge of the pot. In fact, people have said to me when I've talked about it, don't even worry about it, it doesn't matter, they'll just do their own thing, and all you need to do is to keep it happy. Now that is actually looking quite full to me. Do I try and force those in there? I don't think I'm going to be able to. Really don't think I'm going to be able to, so I'm going to have to do something similar with another pot. So that's the first one. So now it's definitely got room to progress, and hopefully it'll sort itself out a little bit better, but with these you're never quite sure. So what have we got down here that I can use? Well, I haven't got anything that's shallow. Not really, not shallow enough, and nor have I got anything that's really shallow, and I'm going to have to split this, and I don't really want to. But I think looking at that will give, if I split it there, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on that side, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on that side, so that's going to have to come off just there. A nice clean looking rhizome, so I now need some cinnamon to do that, so I think I'll just pause again and go and sort something else. So that is perfectly normal cinnamon that you would use in cookery. So dab that cut end on it there to dry it out, and that cut end there, which will cauterise that one. And now, with a bit of luck, I can get that better in that pot, because some of those bulbs have been buried before, so they aren't going to mind too much, I don't think, being buried again. So, same procedure, I think. Get some bark down into the bottom to give it some good drainage, and then put that in like that, and that in like that, I think. Okay then, same procedure, bark in the bottom, moss and bark the rest of the way, and try to keep it below the level of the top of the pot to give it a bit of a microclimate. I mean, this thing will climb, it'll ramble They're renowned for it. So I'll just keep easing these bits up just to make sure they're not too deeply buried at the business end. May well be with having to bury some pseudobulbs so deeply that this one might need to be repotted sooner than the other one, but all we can do now is wait and see how well these two go. So that's the second, again well down in the pot to give it the microclimate in there which it will like. Same with that one, we'll see how it settles, but if it keeps going must be a very happy bunny. So so there we are then, it's a repot of Coelogyne fimbriata. Thanks for watching, see you soon, bye.